When I first bought my economy rolling mill, I did not do anything to it. I didn't touch it. I kept the same rollers in there that it came with because I really couldn't find a decent explanation on how to change rollers out and how to use the rolling mill. I really didn't understand how to take this apart until I had no choice because one day I was trying to roll and something was getting stuck. So I took the whole thing apart and now I know how to do it and it's super easy. So I just want to show you guys how to do it so that you don't just let it sit there like I did for the first 3-4 months. So the only tool that you need is a wrench, which is really awesome. Everything else just, comes out super easy. You start with taking out your pressure lever. Like this determines how much force the rollers are putting on. So just take this guy out. Undo your top rollers until they come all the way out. And then we just have 4 little bolts that we take off on top. So I just use the wrench to get it started and then do everything else by hand. Actually, I didn't really tighten them too much last time, so they're pretty easy. I also don't recommend wearing a white top when you're doing this because there's a lot of dirty grease on these things, but we're gonna live life dangerously. So once they're able to come out, just lift your whole top off. Okay, and now is the fun part. So if you're trying to switch out rollers, everything just pulls right out. But you have to be super careful because in between the rollers, there are springs. So if I pull this guy out, just give it a little wiggle and it'll come out eventually. All right. You'll see in here, there are these little itty bitty springs that sit inside of the bottom roller. Don't lose those. If you do, you're in trouble. So make sure you know where everything goes. If you're taking out your bottom roller, take the springs out first, and then there's a little gear on the side of the big roller. You'll loosen that up. And then you'll loosen the gear on the far side. So the little gear and the big gear. So be very careful when you pull off your big gear. Because, that's why. Because inside each gear, there's a little divot. And inside that divot, there's a little metal piece. And if you lose this metal piece, your gears won't spin properly. You won't be able to roll. So don't lose it. Okay. Now you can easily take out your bottom roller. And same on this side. You have your gear and you have that little metal piece in there. So if you lose it on either side, your roller won't work properly. So for our bottom roller, all we do is we take out our square pieces on the end. We get the new bottom roller that we want to put on, and you'll know it's a bottom roller because the ends will be super duper long compared to the top roller. So you see how much longer that is. So you'll get your new bottom roller. The long end goes on the side with the big gear. And your square pieces it doesn't really matter. They're exactly the same. You just want to make sure, you see why I said don't wear white? You just want to make sure, once I get it in, usually a little tapping helps. You just want to make sure that the sides with the caves are facing up, not the sides that are flat. So flat side goes down, and you just wiggle it back into place. So we're going to put the big gear on first. So that's the little divot. You put your metal piece in there, and if it doesn't fit one way, turn it the other way. And then you put your gear with the little divot going into the metal piece, and it's, oops. Sometimes it's a bit tricky. Just give it a little whack. There we go. And then we're just going to put our washer and our bolt back in. Tighten that up. So just tighten this guy up a little bit. You never want to do anything super tight on stuff like this. This is the best angle I could figure based on my configuration, so just bear with me. So we're going to start with our little metal piece. Okay, our gear goes in, and then we tighten up our end. Bottom is in. Now we put our springs, one on either side. And then we're getting our top piece ready. So if you were swapping out your top piece, comes out exactly the same as this guy. So when you're putting your, when you're putting everything back together, you're gonna want the flat sides facing up and the sides with the holes facing down. So just squish them together. Get them in place and give it a tap till it goes in, and now we put everything back together. The top goes on until the end. Get it just snug. Then we put these guys back on. I like to go as far down as possible. And here's a little tip. If you find that you can only get one side down and not the other, or they feel like they're sticking, check to make sure that your gears are lined up properly. And if they're not, line them up, and then you'll be able to go all the way down. And then we put this guy back on top. Make sure everything moves nice and easy. And you're done. So I hope that makes that process seem a little bit less intimidating. That was just like a quick run through on how to do things. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments, and I can hopefully answer them in the comments, or I can do a follow-up video. Just as a reminder, don't wear white. I was just living life on the edge, but I hope this helps you use your rolling mill more, because I swear that's how I spend more than half of my day, is rolling stuff out. So if you've got one, use it. And if you've got questions, let me know.